Look, I'm not going to waste your time here. The Toronto Blue Jays are sitting at the most critical crossroads in franchise history. And honestly, I don't think most people realize just how massive this decision is. We're talking about Kyle Tucker versus Bo Bichette, and whichever direction Ross Atkins goes, it's going to define this team for the next decade. No pressure, right? So here's where we are. Kyle Tucker just got traded to the Blue Jays from Houston, and immediately everyone's talking about extension. The price tag, $400 million, maybe more. At the same time, Bo Bichette is heading into free agency, and he's not going to be cheap either. The Jays have publicly said they want to keep Bo, but let me tell you something. When teams start making trades for superstars right before one of their own guys hits the market, that tells you everything you need to know about their priorities. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why can't they just sign both? And look, Jeff Passan even floated that possibility, right? He said maybe Toronto goes all in, signs Tucker to that monster deal, and extends Bo too. But let's be real here. This is the Blue Jays we're talking about. This is the same organization that has historically been hesitant to hand out multiple mega contracts simultaneously. We've seen them be aggressive, sure, but $400 million for Tucker and probably $300 plus for Bichette. That's over $700 million in commitments to two players. That's not happening. I'll eat my hat if it does. So if they can only pick one, and I genuinely believe they can only pick one, this becomes the most fascinating decision in baseball right now. Because here's the thing, both choices are completely defensible, and both choices could absolutely blow up in their faces. That's what makes this so compelling and honestly kind of terrifying if you're a Blue Jays fan. Let's start with Kyle Tucker. The case for him is pretty straightforward. You're getting one of the 5 best players in baseball. This guy hit 308 last season with 29 homers, 112 RBIs, and he plays elite defense in right field. He's 27 years old, entering his prime, and he's the exact type of player that championship teams are built around. When you have a chance to lock up a player like that, you don't hesitate. You just do it. The Astros didn't want to pay him, so they traded him, and Toronto swooped in. Now you've got him for at least this year. And if you let him walk after giving up whatever prospects you sent to Houston, that's organizational malpractice. You have to extend him. That $400 million isn't just buying you Tucker's production, it's buying you legitimacy. It's telling the baseball world that Toronto is serious, that they're not just trying to compete, they're trying to dominate. But here's where it gets complicated. If you give Tucker that money, Bo Bichette is gone. There's just no way around it. And Bo isn't just some guy. He's been the face of this franchise since he came up. He's homegrown. He's beloved. He's a local kid who grew up in the game with his dad, Dante, in the organization. Trading him or letting him walk feels like a betrayal to a lot of fans, and I get that. Beyond the emotional connection, Bo is really good. He's a 26-year-old shortstop who can hit for average and power, and when he's locked in, he's one of the most dynamic players in the game. Sure, he had a down year, but shortstops who can hit are not easy to find. You let Bo walk and sign with Boston or Atlanta, and you're going to be sick watching him rake against you for the next 10 years. Now, let me give you the case for Bo, because I think this is where things get really interesting and where I think the Blue Jays front office is probably more divided than they're letting on. If you prioritize extending Bo Bichette, you're investing in continuity. You're keeping the core together. Guerrero, Springer, Bichette, that's the nucleus that got you to the World Series. Why break that up? Bo knows this team. He knows this city. He knows the pressure. There's value in that. And financially, while Bo's going to be expensive, he's probably not going to command Tucker money. You're looking at maybe 300 to 350 million over 10 years. That's more manageable than 400 million. It gives you flexibility to address other needs like the bullpen, which, as we saw in Game 7, is still a massive question mark. But here's my problem with the Bo route, and this is where I'm going to lose some of you. I don't think Bo Bichette is a $400 million player, but I also don't think he's a winning player at his current trajectory. And before you come at me in the comments, hear me out. Bo's defense at shortstop has been questionable at best. His range isn't great, his arm is just okay, and there have been multiple reports that the team has considered moving him off the position. If you're paying a guy $300 million and you're already thinking about position changes, that's a red flag. Meanwhile, Tucker is a Gold Glove caliber right fielder who does everything well. He hits for average, he hits for power, he steals bases, he plays defense. He's the complete package. Bo's a bat-first player who you're hoping figures out the rest. And then there's the injury concern. Bo missed significant time last year. He's had nagging issues. Tucker has been remarkably durable throughout his career. When you're talking about contracts this long, durability matters. You can't just ignore it because you like the player or because he's been here longer. This is business. So where does that leave us? If I'm Ross Atkins, and thank God I'm not because this decision would give me nightmares, I think you have to go with Tucker. And I know that's going to make me unpopular with a lot of Blue Jays fans who are emotionally attached to Bo, but you have to think about this objectively. Tucker is the better player right now. He's the safer bet long term. And if your goal is to win multiple championships, not just compete, but actually dominate, Tucker gives you a better chance. You can replace Bo's production more easily than you can replace Tucker's. Maybe you slide Guerrero to second long term. Maybe you go get Willie Adames in free agency. Maybe you promote one of the kids. There are options at shortstop. There aren't options in right field that give you what Tucker gives you. But here's what keeps me up at night about this decision. What if Tucker doesn't want to stay long term? What if he just uses Toronto as leverage to get more money from somewhere else next offseason? You trade away prospects, you let Bo walk, and then Tucker signs with the Yankees or Dodgers, and you're left with nothing. That's the nightmare scenario. That's the thing that could get Ross Atkins fired and set this franchise back 5 years. Ultimately, this comes down to whether you believe in being loyal to homegrown players or whether you believe in always chasing the best available talent. The Blue Jays have to decide what kind of organization they want to be. Do they want to be the team that values continuity and development? Or do they want to be the team that makes the ruthless decisions necessary to win championships? Because you can't be both. Not in this situation. One of these guys is going to be wearing a different uniform next year, and that's just the reality we're facing. You know, the $400 million question is which one, and honestly, I'm not sure there's a right answer, but there's definitely going to be a wrong one, and we won't know which until it's too late.